Alex Mercer. You killed my wife and my daughter. You turned me into this monster. Now you spread the virus. And you send your pets to kill me?
Okay, we're here talking about Prototype 2. Prototype 2, where are we? Where are we at the moment with it?
So Prototype 2, we're currently just shy of alpha and on track for a worldwide release of April 24, 2012. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. And what should people expect to see here at Gamescom?
So we're excited to show people our brand new trailer and gameplay, which takes place in the Yellow Zone. We've never shown or talked about before. So the Yellow Zone being an entirely different zone from the Green Zone, which we've previously shown. The Green Zone focused on Blackwatch's home base, much more militarized, life as normal as it gets. In contrast, the Yellow being kind of a triage shantytown, overcrowded, overpopulated. It's also Gentech performs a lot of human experiments since it's their little petri dish.
Now, story-wise, it's very much a continuation from the first one. It's very much entwined with the first one, the first story. Was that always the plan you guys had, or did that just feel like the natural part for a sequel?
We really felt it was the natural part for a sequel. I mean, we really, fans really liked Alex Mercer. We wanted to make sure we finished the Alex Mercer storyline so people knew what happened. But at the same time, we really want people to know that the virus, that Prototype is more about what happens when the virus interacts with people more than it's about an individual. So.
Okay. And new fellow will be playing as James Heller, who has an unfortunate history with Alex. But as far as I understand, Alex develops a bit of an interest in James. Can you sort of talk about what the relationship is between these two characters?
Sure, I can touch on why Alex is interested in Heller, but I can't go into everything. So what Alex sees is an opportunity to have a person who can help drive his agenda, and Alex's agenda is really to, carry things forward. So Alex is Sergeant James Heller is a very strong character, and Alex sees something in him.
Okay, well, why do we go for, or why do you guys decide upon a sort of army type guy this time around, rather than as we've seen in the previous title, hooded and cloaked?
We really, the thing we liked about Sergeant Heller as a military man was, Alex was a character who didn't fully embrace these powers. He didn't see them as an opportunity to achieve his goal. He ended up being sullen about them some of the times. And so, Heller, in contrast to that, and why we picked military, was we wanted a man who was clear and concise in his motivations, and also someone who approached combat with a little more skill as opposed to just being a brawler. So.
And how does this come across in gameplay?
So the player will experience things a little different. You'll see James Heller shapeshift his powers to make them more unique to him and his military background. His blade arm will have notches in it like a military blade. But beyond that, there's just the tactics and the strategies that are available to Heller are much more in line with what you would expect somebody who knows how to fight, I guess is the right way to put it.
Well, can we sort of just touch upon sort of starting the project to where you are now, which is, I know, a huge number of months and everything like that. But in terms of coming off the first one, going into the sequel, what did you guys want to achieve? What new things did you want to see appear in the game?
Sure. So, I mean, we had mentioned this previously, but we really wanted to take stock of where we were. Radical provided, did its own postmortem. Activision did a postmortem. We really wanted to see what the fans and the press were saying and compare it against what we all felt we achieved and what we didn't achieve. And so we took all of that information, we kind of lined it up in columns. This works great, this doesn't work great. And what it did was it really allowed us as a development team to understand what we needed to take further and what we needed to start over from scratch and what we just really needed to get rid of completely. So we really just took the time to do that. And for us, that really meant, a narrative story that people could understand, which we really feel we're on track to achieve. A core gameplay experience that was more fair and balanced. You didn't always make sure you weren't attacked off screen. You weren't having 10 guys jump on you all the time, not knowing where your attacks were coming from. And then visually just making a world that felt more alive and was visually competitive.
Okay, well, let's talk about that world. New York City. When players enter into the game, what do they expect to see? What sort of areas do they expect to explore?
Sure. So New York, or the Manhattan that players are familiar with from Prototype 1, is actually now what's referred to as New York Zero. New York Zero being New York broken into 3 distinct zones, and each of those zones will have its own look and feel and different ambience. So you've got the green zone, which is militarized. You've got the yellow zone, which is that shanty town, and then you've got the red zone, which is it's essentially the virus in full force. It's Alex's playground. You'll have buildings that are toppled over. You'll have chunks of buildings taken out. So even though it's back to a Manhattan similar to what players experienced in Prototype 1, it's a completely new experience from what it was in Prototype 1.
And how do these factions sort of play off each other? How does the player's introduction into those factions operate?
So, Heller, being a soldier, has his own perception of the world. He tells his wife and his daughter to trust Blackwatch and to stay put. We'd shown something we had talked about and shown in the Homecoming video trailer. He's now learned that Blackwatch is not the guys that he was told to trust. And at the same time, as the story unfolds, as he goes after more and more people through the BlackNet, through the open world narrative system, he'll find out more and more how evil these guys really are and what they're really up to. And they'll be playing against themselves quite a bit as well.
Can we clear up the multiplayer thing? Because bouncing back and forth between different yes, no, what's the situation?
So we decided at the start of production that no multiplayer, and for us that was really, it was because we didn't want to split our focus. We really wanted to make sure that single player game was the best it could possibly be. We really want to make sure that the gaming experience for the press and the fans is absolutely that nugget of greatness. And multiplayer would have just it would have splintered our focus.
So no multiplayer.
No multiplayer.
No multiplayer.
No multiplayer.
No multiplayer. Okay, we have that on record now. Obviously, if game's out next year, where are you guys at the moment? What's left to do? Is it spit and polish, or is there a few bits and pieces that you still have to clean up?
So we're just shy of alpha. We're on a great trajectory. For us, it's really about just fixing those things, really refining, polishing, adding some details that like animation fidelity. We were even seeing in the gameplay we're showing today, really making sure that camera system was great and really focuses the action for the players. The animation keeps up, just really keeping things, just focusing on taking it from good to great.
Okay, and just finally, franchises seem to work really well in threes. Will we see, is there a definite conclusion at the end of Prototype 2, or have you guys already got an inkling of, it'd be nice to leave it on a cliffhanger?
We really want to make sure that players have a satisfying experience with Prototype 2. We're absolutely hopeful that the fans embrace Prototype 2. We sell a whole bunch of units, so there can be more Prototype. But at this point, we want to make sure that there's a closed loop. But at the same time, keeping in mind that the Prototype universe is about the effects of the virus on a human and what that does. So that leaves us open to do whatever.
Excellent. Listen, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Mercer!
It would have been quick, but now